check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
All right, Sean, we're back for week 8 in the National Football League. And then, of course, Jared is still in Hawaii, where I don't know if you saw that they're like under yellow watch down there. So he's like the havoc guy from those State Farm commercials. You're on mute, by the way, Sean. So I didn't mute you. But no, he's kind of like those. He's like that havoc guy. Look, world's largest volcano showing signs of increased activity on Hawaii's Big Island. And of course, that's got to be 100% a result of the arrival of Jared.
He just causes trouble wherever he goes, right?
He's that havoc dude. I'm telling you, man. Wherever he goes, it's just like stuff.
You need State Farm to go with you.
Yeah, or like an exorcist or something, because there's just like all kinds of weird activity going on. So yeah, so Jared's still away. He'll be back next week. So make sure you tune in next week to catch Jared's return. I got a feeling the dude's going to spend 2 weeks in Hawaii and come back and still be the color of Elmer's glue.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, he's probably got like 14 layers of SPF on.
And be just as confusing, too.
Yeah, well, just as long as he doesn't bring the volcano activity with him. That's what we want to avoid. All right, but last week, we avoided some. We didn't avoid. We had a good week last week, so we kind of run through our picks as we like to do, kind of recap what we did last week, because we don't hide behind burying our picks. We put everything out there, good, bad, otherwise, so everybody can see. So Jared, while he's down there igniting the volcanoes, had a good week. I think he went, 4-3? Ended up collecting $317.
Hard to see.
Oh, you want me to blow that up a little bit? You're right, Sean. I should probably do that. All right, but I always got to figure out where it is. Let's put it to 200.
There we go.
Now you can see Jared, right?
Yeah, perfect. Yep.
Yes, kind of scary picture there indeed. But you can see Jared had a good week in total. He was up $314.37. Almost made an error on Sean's picks for the second time. And, fortunately for you, every time I want to make an error, it's in your favor.
It's on the right side. Yeah, if I'd have let that go, man, I'd be up a couple $100 more. We don't do that. And I don't want false stats anyway. So
you would be the Bezos of football, because you'd be a billionaire by now. So you had a good week regardless of me almost making a mistake. Up 374. Go ahead.
Look at my result there. The Falcons have covered every spread. This is the first time I took the Falcons, and what happens? There's the L. Maybe
you are the havoc guy.
Yeah.
And me, I had at my parlay, I usually don't like to do that, hit that for plus 264. The Broncos, if I had known that the guy who likes to dance in the aisle of the airplanes on the way to London, if he wasn't going to play, I would have backed out of that bet. So, we do it on Friday, so we don't know 100%. But I manned up and took the L. And then, of course, the McCaffrey getting 20 touches, a little bet between Sean and I. There isn't really something on the line. But, again, I manned up. Took the L again, despite a phantom L and a Russell Wilson-less L, even though he's got 2 L's in his last name. Maybe I should have taken a hint from that. Still managed to make $64 for the week. Look at our year-to-date totals. Oh, that one's a little too big, Sean. Let's go to 150. All right, so 150. We see here week number 7. Everybody turned a profit, calculating out to $757.23. It looks like for the year, we are up $727.53. Everybody's in the green. So this is why it might take a little bit of painful, some eruptions. You see some red on there. But we're on the plus side about halfway through. And I don't know how many professional services can say that, and yet we're free.
And if you go up, I believe every plus week we've had, we've absolutely killed it. We've had more, as I think we might have had 4 negative. No, we have 4 positive weeks and 3 negative, but the 4 positive, we're way above.
Well, we had that double week over here. Good thing it wasn't another 72 cents, or I would have probably quit on the spot.
If people followed our bets and they somehow just, they were in Hawaii for week 3 and week 4, they'd really be doing good, because they wouldn't, skip their bad weeks there.
Indeed. So we've had a good run of it lately. So that's good. Let's hope we can keep that up, Sean. and go into week number 8 as we're about a halfway point, right? Where is it 18 games this year? 17? I'm always confused.
It's 17 games. It's been 17. I think this is the third.
Yeah, but
second or third.
Aren't they going to like 18 one of these years?
Yeah, it's 18 weeks. I don't know. I don't know if they're improved. But so this week and then next week. So week 10 will technically, after week 9 we'll be halfway. So we're almost there.
So there's 17 weeks, but after week 9 we're halfway.
No, there's 18 weeks.
Yeah, yes.
17 games. Yeah.
All right. I get it. Jamie told me I'm bad at math last night, and I guess it wore off on me. All right. So for this week, Jared, no picks. No, he has some picks, but he went back to week 1, Jared, where everything was either on the money line or he has a couple of over-under. So just to get a little bit of recap, last night, Sean, he took the Ravens on the money line at plus 115, collected on that one, lost on the over. So he's 1-1, but because he got a plus money line, he's up he's up $15. And maybe next week the Buccaneers get it back. All that family drama maybe finally off Brady's plate. I'm sure he has some sadness, but I can't speak for him. But I'd imagine having that type of stuff behind him can only be helpful. Yeah,
and I mean, there for the first quarter and a half, they were moving the ball up and down, and then all of a sudden they couldn't do anything again. So I think there's a lot more than that with Tampa Bay right now. One thing I can say, and when they announced Bowles the head coach, I kind of figured they would regress a little bit. I'm just not a big fan. Obviously, being a Jets fan, I did not think he was a good coach, and he's not doing very well. I'm not saying he's all the problem, but he's got some new weapons. But like Mike Evans last week, missing that, that changes the whole complexion of the game. 2 minutes in the game, they have an 80-yard bomb, and he just drops it right through his arms. That changes the whole complexion of the game. Never got another chance at a touchdown after that.
Yeah, it may indeed have changed the complexion of the game. But the Bears and the Cowboys, the complexion of that game is one that Jared thinks is going to go over the total. Sean, and what do you think?
Oh, man, I don't know what to think about Cowboys games now with Prescott in, just because, you saw last week they had a slow start with him, and then they picked it up at the end. So we'll see. And then that Bears offense, you don't know what to make of them either. They're usually not that great. And then they Fields and everybody looked really good last week. So I would stay away from that. But
even though Fields and them looked good last week, they were still under a lot of duress. I think he's going to be under more duress. It's probably going to be the best defense that they've seen. I do have this game coming. This is another week where everything is just kind of right on. The Bears game, 42.5 is the over-under. I have them coming in at 42. So, it's one of those games that, at the very end, at least it looks like right now, they'll be sweating it out, Sean. Can't say for sure, but I think that's the way it looks. And I have all the picks we have for the week right here. My sheet, as I put up there every week, is up here, all the algorithms. There's a link right in the description here on YouTube. While you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're going to watch horse racing and that kind of stuff too, we did every single Breeders' Cup preview. It was a hell of a long day yesterday. Make sure you check all that out. Hit the subscribe button and all that good stuff, Sean.
Absolutely.
All right, so let me shorten this up a little bit. This one looks a little bit too big for me as well. The next thing up on the picks for Mr. Jared, who is on vacation. Patriots, this is funny to me because he's been kind of waffling back and forth on the New York team, but he's going to go with the Patriots in the money line to beat the Jets. He's not here, Sean, so you get to smack him around without any he's not going to be able to throw any punches back. So why do you think it's the other way around?
This Patriots team's not the Patriots, obviously. You got the quarterback issue now. Mac Jones didn't look that great last week. He got pulled. Now they're saying, it was an injury. He wasn't fully recovered. I don't know why would have they started him then? So there's going to be a lot of pressure on Mac Jones in this game. And then now you finally got the Jets are good. Or they think they're good.
The Jets aren't good.
Well, they're 5-2.
And they're going to have. They are what their record says they are, but they are absolutely the luckiest team in the NFL.
When you finally might be better than your big bully and you get them at home, that's a huge game. So this is a huge game for the Jets to put that big bully, say, hey, we're finally here.
2 of those wins. They got one against some guy named Ripien, who nobody knows who he is. And they got another one against the 7th round, first-year quarterback. So that's 2 of their games that they've won. that they probably I honestly think if Russell Wilson plays last week, the Jets lose.
Have you watched Wilson this year?
I think the Jets lose if Russell Wilson plays last week.
I don't know. I mean, the way Russell Wilson has played this year, I mean, I don't know how much of a difference that would have made. But
it would have made.
And I'll also say what you're saying about teams wins. I mean, you can look at a lot of teams, and a lot of teams that are always good, they win against. They get those games that.
Yeah, but I mean, the Jets have probably played in terms of what they've had to play. I don't think any other team in the league has caught two quarterbacks like that. And then barely won those games. I mean, the one game that they did kind of get a good win in, I feel like the best win for them is against Green Bay. But everything else in there is kind of I'm skeptical, and I think that the second half of the year it's going to be a big disappointment for the Jets fans.
I am concerned about Breece Hall being out, but they did go out and get James Robinson, which probably won't be a factor this game because I don't see James Robinson probably getting too involved this week.
Touches?
No, I'm not going to make that bet. If you want to make that bet, we'll take that bet again. But against the Patriots are really struggling too. So I just can't.
Not when they stick that other quarterback in there. That guy is pretty lights out. The Zully.
He was, and then he didn't play well neither towards the end of that game.
Still in Hawaii. Yes, we pointed that out that you're still in Hawaii and that you're havoc because while you're in Hawaii, the volcano is about to erupt, Jared. So all the folks in Hawaii, they'll probably have a joyous send off when they see you get on that airplane. For sure.
And New York will have to gear up that you're coming back.
All right, Jared. So while you're there, man, tell us why Sean's wrong. Hit us up in the comment section. Let us know why Sean is absolutely wrong. Taking the Jets, like I said, I think they're one of the luckiest teams in the NFL. We'll see if that trend continues or not. So you jumped off the Falcons bandwagon, and in rides Jared to get on the Falcons bandwagon against the Panthers, laying 200, Sean, against Carolina. And that line seems kind of odd to me because it's only a 4-point.
So it's minus 200.
They're minus 200 for 4
and
points.
I believe I didn't get off the Falcons.
Oh, you have them too over here?
Yeah, I should have them.
Jets, simple, Sean. It's a trap game. A trap game. There you go. All right, so so you're going to go back on you got a whole bunch of picks in here. So you're on the Falcons, and he's on the Falcons the other way, -4. I'm on the other side of this game. I'm going to take the Panthers. I know last week I got beat up taking, as far as I know, the quarterback is still, P.J. Walker is going to start. Yep. Looks like Chuba Hubbard might not be in there, but it's a big, powerful back in Deontay Foreman. I don't think they missed much there. I think they're going to be far more aggressive on offense. I actually think the Panthers probably have a better defense than supposedly they got better offer for the defensive lineman than they did for Christian McCaffrey. I think the Panthers are going to be in this game and maybe lose by a field goal. But nonetheless, you get 4 points and you lose by 3, I win.
So my thought process here is the Falcons run game. Falcons run game's been really good. Their offense, even, they were getting crushed last week against the Bengals. They fell down real early. They did battle back a little bit offensively. Their defense is their weakness, but I don't see Carolina's offense being good enough to take care of that defense, taking advantage of it. So if Atlanta keeps going up and down the field, Carolina's not going to be able to keep up. So 4 points, I'll take my shots. Atlanta recovers here with that. And strangely enough, this game is for first place in the NFC South.
Well, I think the best team in that, the best bunch on that field in terms, if you look at offense versus defense, the best bunch on that field is the Panthers defense. I think unquestionably. I think the offenses are fairly even. They both are kind of hot and cold. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Mariota's subject to make mistakes, inaccuracy at times. So I don't know. I'm going to go with the algorithm. I'm going to take the Panthers. I feel like the 4 points works in my favor, and we'll see. I think they lose the game, but maybe cover. But I was also contemplating taking the Panthers to win this game outright. Next up on Mr. Jared's list of things here, he says all bets riding on the Pats can come back off a dismal effort beaten by the Bears in the game. Hey, we thought Atlanta couldn't beat San except for me. You're the genius in there. Go Falcons this week. All right. So you guys are going to go with the Falcons. I'll be the dummy. I feel like that. I don't know. I just think the Panthers defense is the best side of the ball there. All right. The Seahawks. Sean's going to take the Seahawks against the Giants, where they're going to face a good defense, probably the best defense that the Seahawks have seen. Jared's also on the Seahawks. He's going to just do money line. He thinks they win the game at minus 155. So he's a little bit heavy on the favorites this week. And once again, I find myself on the other side of you two. I'm going to take the Giants, and they're plus 100. So I feel like I think the Giants have a better than 50-50 chance of winning this game outright.
So my thought here again is Seattle's offense has been, they're putting up points against everybody. If this turns into a shootout, which most Seattle games do, I know the Giants have won. I know the Giants are putting up some points, but they do not have the offense to go with Seattle here.
But here's the thing: is Seattle doesn't have a defense because they give up a ton of points to no matter who they play.
I understand they do, but I don't think the Giants' offense isn't good enough to take advantage of that. So as long as Seattle does their part on offense and continues to go up and down the field, eventually the Giants are going to stumble. The real Daniel Jones of turning the ball over will happen.
Wait a minute. Eventually the Giants are going to stumble? You're over here talking up Geno Smith like he's not going to stumble at some point.
Everybody keeps
Where
saying
does the Giants'
that,
offense come from all year? Jared, it's going to come from Saquon running all over that defense. Daniel Jones is playing well. I think Daniel Jones can run for 50 to 75 yards in this game too. And I don't know that the Giants offense isn't going to look better than it has because Seattle's defense is that porous.
At some point too, with Geno Smith here, maybe he is a different quarterback. At some point we're in week 8 here. At some point, he is what he is. He's playing really well right now. And I'll also say Kenneth Walker is running the ball lights out right now for Seattle. And that's the difference too. If they can get a running game with him going like they did last week, they've really done dangerous offensively. Their weakness is the defense, but I just don't see the Giants being able. The nice thing when your weakness is your defense, if you play a subpar offense, your offense is going to score more points and you'll be good.
I think it's the absolute opposite. I feel like if I'm going to be a bad team, I'd rather have a good defense than a explosive offense because it's hard in the NFL to win shootout after shootout after shootout because there's going to be a point in time where your offense struggles. And those offenses typically struggle when they match up against some of the better defenses. I think Geno Smith for the first time is probably going to see that, maybe the first time, but I think he's going to be under more pressure than he's been under. And you're going to see some of the remnants of the Geno Smith that they shipped out of New York. A couple of turnovers in there. And then the next thing you know, the Giants are up 10. And it'll be very difficult, I think, for Seattle to come back if they're one-dimensional.
I'll say, though.
Especially with Lockett likely to be on the sidelines and Metcalf likely to be on the sidelines.
The thing with the Giants is the Giants rather play that 21-17 game than that 41-35 game. I just don't see them being able to play that.
But I don't think that Seattle is going to be able to score on the Giants like they've scored on other teams.
We'll see. And, something else I saw from Geno Smith last week that I can tell you as a Jets fan I did not see much of. He was fiery last week. There was a play last week where he really got up. Yeah. When he was with the Jets, he was one of those just, put head down, just take he is fiery and he is motivated. He's a different quarterback right now. I'm not saying it's going to last because I know how Geno Smith is in his years, but at least he's showing some emotion now.
Well, Daniel Smith apparently is the leader of the team now. Daniel Jones. Why do I keep calling him weird names? Because last week on the sneak where they won the game, he audibled on the line, ran in, and the coaching staff and everybody was pretending they were in a mosh pit at some type of heavy metal band concert. What? And that team is rallying behind Daniel Jones, and I feel like he's taken that leadership role, living up to that first-round draft choice. Saquon will be the best player on the field offensively for both teams. And I think the Giants are going to be able to do what they want on offense against the Seattle defense. And I don't think Seattle's going to be able to do everything that they want on offense against the Giants defense. To me, that puts the check mark. And Vegas is telling you basically these two teams are even because they're only getting a 3-point on the road in Seattle, one of the most difficult places to play.
They are, and that's the other thing too is now that Seattle's showing some life. That is going to be a tough place to play. We thought they were going to be, at least I did. A 3-13, 4.
Well, how many wins do they have now? The 3 or 4 wins?
I think they're 4-3.
Right. So I mean, they can end up very easily 13-4. I mean, 14 and 3 and 4 and 13. So I mean, the
4 and
season's
13. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they at some point, well, we'll see. I know that Geno Smith is
But
having a
that's
phenomenal
actually
year.
it's a perfect.
We don't wish him to be bad, but I feel like the Giants are definitely the better team.
This is a good matchup quarterback wise, as far as what you're saying, and kind of both have the same stories. Now, Geno Smith has more years of being a disappointment and, finally coming through now. But Daniel Jones was the same way. I mean, he was about to be shipped out of New York, and he's had a great year so far.
All right. There we go. So that's where we are on that. I think there's there's one other game over here. I'm going to do it again. That Sunday morning game. I don't think anybody on the planet's lost more money on the Broncos than I have. But what the hell? A glutton for punishment. I guess maybe the algorithm is
heavily weighing the Broncos.
No, it's just the matchups that they're getting against the Jaguars. Again, when you look at this matchup on paper, the Jaguars, their defense is not what people think it is. Broncos offense is not good at all. But the two teams are on par against each other. So when you look at there's not much difference. So I think that you're going to get what you're going to get from the Broncos offense. They'll be able to generate some yards, score some points. But I think where this game is going to be difficult for the Jaguars is that Broncos defense, despite being put in a bad spot game after game after game after game by the offense, they have the second best defense in the league. I think they're going to get all over Trevor Lawrence, who at times can be inaccurate, at times can turn the ball over in crucial moments. And I feel like the Broncos have a really good shot to win this game. It's in England, so it's not a home field advantage for either team. So, and if it's ugly and rainy and sloppy like it can be in England sometimes, I think that really favors the Broncos.
Yeah, I would lean the Jaguars, and I would lean really, if I would play anything, I would go the under, but I'm not touching it at all. And my biggest complaint about this game, to not even talk about that part of it, is did you know this game was only available on ESPN Plus?
No, I don't know. I don't care. How many people are going to watch that game?
Well, if it's on ESPN Plus, not many. I mean, Thursday night ratings are going down because of Amazon. Now you're putting this on ESPN Plus. Most people I don't think know that yet. They're going to look for that game at 9:30 in the morning, and social media will erupt. Although maybe not. Who wants to watch the Broncos again in a lone game?
Well, all the people who follow me and take the Broncos in the money line,
they're all want to watch.
They're going to be all over me. All right. So the next up on the list here, Sean, is the Dolphins. They are squaring up against the Lions. You've been a big Dolphins fan. They're going to have Tua, full squad of offense, against the Lions, whose offense came out of the barn on fire, like somebody rubbed their behind with some Tabasco. And since then, the Tabasco has worn off, and the offense has struggled. But then again, the Dolphins' offense didn't look all that sharp last week either.
Yeah, so two things on that. One, the Lions, I guess they started having injuries, and then, even now they're getting players back, but the whole chemistry that they had and going up and down the field, it's completely changed. The Dolphins last week.
But I do think getting DeAndre Swift back supposedly this week could be a big lift for the.
But will he be full-time go, 20 carries?
Well, I mean, hey, him and Jamal Williams would be a good 1-2 punch. I don't know that you necessarily need him to carry the full load, but if he can be, on the field 30-35% of the snaps, give Williams a rest, I think that offense becomes more dynamic then, not less. Maybe captures 80% of where they were before.
I like the fact that this is Tua's second week off of the injury, and they looked really good coming out of the box last week against Pittsburgh, just up and down the field, and then they just completely
they can't perform in the red zone.
Yeah, well, it wasn't even that. They weren't even moving the ball at all anymore. Pittsburgh's defense really clamped down. But I think if the Dolphins stick more to that game plan, the Lions defense is not good. So they're not Pittsburgh. So Tua stays healthy. They do what they did more in the first half of the game against Pittsburgh. They should move up and down. And the Lions are still not to find that offense that they had the first couple of weeks of the season. It could take a couple of weeks if they ever get it back.
I think part of the problem with the Dolphins offense is that they try to force the ball. You have this incredible offensive weapon in Tyreek Hill. And it just, if you look game after game after game, no matter who's playing quarterback, the connection rate between the quarterback and Tyreek Hill is much, especially when Tua plays. It seems to me like he has more chemistry with Jalen Waddle than he does with Tyreek Hill, yet the offense is trying to force the ball to Tyreek Hill. And there's really, despite the fact that Tyreek Hill's been targeted, I think like 20 times more, 30 times more, there's only like 120-yard difference between the two in terms of the yards that they have.
And for the last 2 years, I would say Jalen Waddle's numbers are totally different, like you said, when Tua's in and Tua's out. Because even when he was hurt this year, like there wasn't much going on for Waddle. And then last week, I mean, he came out of the box right away.
Well, I mean, the kid's an explosive receiver. He's played pretty well. He caught a lot of catches in his rookie year, getting a lot of balls this year. And I feel like it just seems to me there's more chemistry between him and Tua. And I feel like if maybe they increased Waddle's looks, maybe not to Tyreek Hill's looks, but instead of Tyreek Hill getting, 17 looks and Waddle getting 4, maybe it's, 14 looks for Tyreek Hill, 8 for Jalen Waddle.
Another guy they got to get more involved, and they got him a little bit more involved last week, is Mike Gesicki, the tight end, is really good as well. He goes sometimes, he gets 1 catch, and then other times he gets 5 or 6 catches. They got to get him more involved because in the middle of the field, we talked about Hill. At middle of the field's going to be more wide open because of Hill. So,
like he's got to take that Travis Kelce role and embrace it, and excel at it. But I
think he can do. I mean, he's not as good as Travis Kelce, obviously. But he can put up some of those numbers. They just don't target him very much.
Yeah, I don't know that offense is structured the same. Where it's like, maybe it's just Tua's looking downfield, whereas Mahomes is looking to who's supposed to get the ball.
And I didn't study the film or whatever. When I watched that game last week, it looked like those first couple drives, Tua was getting back, throwing the ball. He knew exactly where he was going. There were quick plays. When they started to struggle, it was 5-step dropbacks and a couple seconds. When they're going right away with these fast receivers, you can't stop it. When you start standing back there in the pocket, then you're giving too much time. And then also Tua, he's got to stop. Last week he ran, and then instead of going out of bounds, he runs right into the defender. You just came off 2 concussions. What are you doing?
Well, he said he needed that, is what he said.
Yes.
All right, Cardinals and the Vikings. This is one Sean needs. The Vikings are having a sneaky good year, I think. 5-1. Atop the NFC Central, making it look easy so far. They're catching a Cardinals team that's kind of maybe a little bit on the rise, a little bit of new enthusiasm and energy in the building as DeAndre Hopkins, the Linus blanket for the quarterback, Murray, came back last week. Looks like he didn't miss a beat whatsoever at all. And I think, the Vikings minus 3.5. You don't worry a little bit about that hook, Sean?
Maybe a little bit. Well, I'll tell you what. The deciding factor in this game, there was one, I think the Vikings are the better team. So you're already given the 3.5 is basically the home field. The Vikings are the better team. Yes, Hopkins is coming back, but you still got that Murray, and the head coach Kingsbury connection.
Lance Kiffenberry, according to Jared.
It's just erratic, man. One of them is always, they're always yelling at each other. Yeah. Cardinals have lost the last 10 times they've gone to Minnesota as well. So it's just one of those weird things. Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but when you lose double digits straight to a team, 3.5 doesn't bother me.
So Jared said this smells like an upset game. Yeah, the good thing too for the Vikings is they got some time off, right? They're coming off the bye. And Jared is leaning the Cardinals. As for me, that game was about a 50-50 game. I think it slightly leans to the Vikings. Let's see who I have over here. On my sheet, I usually print it out, but I forgot to print it out today.
I believe
I have the Vikings winning the game and the Cardinals barely covering.
Cardinals aren't coming off. They're coming off half a bye. They played that Thursday night game, so they had 10 days off.
Mm-hmm. And I just feel like there's a difference with Murray when he has Hopkins for sure. I mean, there's just a huge difference in how he plays. His confidence goes up, and when confidence breeds success. Packers versus the Packers. Boy, that's a good game right there. Yes, the Packers getting 10 against themselves. You gotta think that the Packers will do well there. But the Bills, they're playing the Bills. They're going to go to Highmark Stadium in Orchard, New York. I've been there. Went to see a Metallica concert. That was fun. On the way out to Saratoga, and then on the way back, COVID. So I had all sorts of things going on there. But the Packers and the Bills laying 10.5. They're coming off a bye, Sean. And this smells to me like they're just putting it, they're just loading up as many points on the Bills as they can because they know the bettors are going to back the Bills the way Green Bay's looked. I think this one and the next game, the Titans, to me, those two look to me like the square sucker bets of the week, man.
Well, me with the Bills, it's just the fact that that offense is so good and Green Bay's offense is struggling. I don't think the
defense is really good too, Buffalo. They have got a good defense. I think people overlook that because of all the offensive action, but the defense has played well.
I'm always willing to give up points when I already know I'm going to say Buffalo scores easily. They score at least 28 points without even sweating. If that offense struggles a little bit, they score 28 points in that game. Now with the Packers, they're already struggling. I mean, even if they get 17 points, I still cover. So when you have a really good offense, I'm willing to give up those kind of points because I just don't see the Packers stopping the Bills too much. And then you already got the factor of the Packers offense, which is just all over the place. And, I said before the year that it was going to be the receivers. They didn't have the experience. If you watch the tape too, Rodgers just isn't reading the defenses right. He's leaving guys wide open and he's blaming his teammates too. I mean, he's not being that great teammate that all Hall of Fame players are supposed to be. He's being that guy that, hey, it's not my fault. So he's gonna get his butt handed to him this Sunday night.
Probably will. I think that's probably the case too. I can see the Bills covering this by halftime. My only concern would be the Bills are up 17, and then the Packers get a meaningless touchdown as the game comes to a close. That would be my biggest fear if I was on the Bills.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you'll know that situation. Like, I'll know that situation with 3 minutes. If Green Bay gets it back and it's in that situation, you already know they're going down and scoring because for whatever reason, defenses are like, go ahead, take 3 minutes and score. We'll leave the end zone open for you. And as a better,
just let them matriculate down the field, tackle them, keep them in bounds. And then what'll happen is they'll try to stiffen up as they get to the end zone.
Yeah,
but they'll let you move down the field 3, 5, 7 yards at a time, burn up the clock, and then like a all-pro game, as the game gets close, they'll start to tighten up a little bit. But at that time, I think once you've mentally made up the mind we've won, you just don't play with the same intensity.
Yeah, that's one of the most frustrating things in every sport as a bettor when
the backdoor, the dreaded backdoor cover.
Just leave them, and you know it already when somebody's getting in. You're like, well, the team you have doesn't need to score at all. So it's just you basically need a turnover. If you don't get a turnover on downs, the other team's scoring that touchdown.
Yep, and you're muttering maybe not muttering under your breath, but you're definitely using 4-letter words. All right, I think the last game on our calendar is the Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. And looking at this line, Tennessee only giving up 2.5 points to the Texans. When I saw that, I was like, ding, 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 square sucker bet, square sucker bet. This kind of reminds me a little bit of San Francisco and Atlanta. But I think if both teams played their games, man, I don't know how Tennessee doesn't win this game by a touchdown or more. I know that Ryan Tannehill is kind of iffy to play, but Derrick Henry's not iffy to play. And I think I could probably play quarterback and turn around and hand the ball to him 42 times and not fumble one.
I'll say 2 things about this game. I kind of looked at Tennessee the same way. So I'll say 2 things. One, Houston has battled all. They're bad, but they have battled all year long.
I think they're starting to come undone. The last 2 weeks, they have not played that well.
Then I thought the same thing you did. Look, it's only a field goal. Tennessee needs to win a field goal. I almost took them, and then I went, hey, wait a second. You're the guy that took Tennessee, and then when you took Tennessee and they lost, you remembered Tennessee likes to lose to bad teams. Tennessee plays to their competition. So that's why I would stay away from Tennessee. I can't tell you how many times a bet like this with Tennessee, and they play to their competition. They like losing to bad teams.
But I do think they have one of the best coaches in the league. So I think they'll be prepared. I think they'll win the game. And if you win a game in the NFL, like 80% of the time you cover. So I feel like 2.5 points is not.
Well, yeah, with 2.5, you're definitely covering.
Yeah, if they win, right? Because I mean, if they win,
you should.
Well, you never know. I mean, you can win 18-17. I hope I just didn't speak it into existence, but
that's another one you don't know till the game goes, and then all of a sudden you have that 14-13 score, and you're like, oh man, we got to get it away from there somehow.
Yeah, we got to get off that one. We need a touchdown, not a field goal, a touchdown, and then you kick the field goal. So yeah, I don't know. To me, the Tennessee is a much better than a 2.5. They're saying that they actually, I mean, They're not. They're saying that Tennessee's about a 5-point favorite at home, which seems about right. And I think they should be a 4 or 5 point favorite.
So if it's a neutral field, it would be about 5.5 point spread for Tennessee. If Tennessee was at home, you're looking at a touchdown to 8-point spread.
Yeah, I don't know that would be that high, though. All right, so that wraps up all of our picks. Just a quick rundown again. Sean, Falcons, Seahawks, Dolphins, Vikings, Bills, all against the spread. I'm going to bet against Sean and over there with Jared and his money lines. I'm taking the Panthers. I'm taking the Giants, but at least I'm not taking road favorites. I'm taking road dogs. I'm getting points. I am taking the road favorite down in Houston with the Titans. I am lining totally up for the square sucker bets. The only over and under plays we have, the only one, the Bears and the Cowboys. Jared feels like the Cowboys will score enough points to push that game over 42.5. That's probably, I think the Cowboys.
Is that a 4-unit play by Jared over there with the Seahawks?
Yeah, there's a 4-unit play on the Seahawks against his
own
Giants.
team. Oh, wow.
And then, of course, Sean's also taking the Seahawks, but he's laying the points. They both like the Falcons, the Patriots, and they're in a battle against each other. Sean taking the Jets, Jared taking the Patriots, and then I'm going to take the Broncos once again over in England. Maybe Russell Wilson and company will feel a little bit better with fish and chips than they do with whatever they serve up in Colorado.
Your computer has that same algorithm that I had that Russell Wilson was going to win the MVP. It can't get rid of that algorithm that just keeps saying that the Broncos are going to win.
Yeah, just overvaluing it. But I don't know. I mean, because when you keep putting the numbers in, the Pythagorean numbers say that they're probably one of the most unlucky teams in the NFL. So that defense should keep them in the game. The Jaguars tend to make mistakes. Jaguars tend to be one of those teams, even though I picked them to win a division at the start of the year. They started out hot, but they just seem to be one of those teams that at the end finds a way to lose. Right?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll find
Good
out.
to go, guys. All right, Jared, will you enjoy your time down there in Hawaii? Be safe with those volcano eruptions waiting for you that you created because you are the State Farm Havoc guy. And then I think that wraps it up. Again, Sean, college football this weekend on Saturday. So if you check this out before the NFL games on Sunday, make sure you hook up with the picks with the professor. There's a link down in the description below. While you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on the Horse Race Today, the number 2 day, for all of our social media sites. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Of course, we covered every single Breeders' Cup race for next Friday and Saturday. We'll have more Breeders' Cup coverage for the upcoming week. On Monday, I will be working with Charles for Parks. Tuesday, Terry will return for Horseshoe Indianapolis. Wednesday, Charles and I again for Churchill. And I don't know if Belmont's still running on Thursday or not, so I'm not quite sure what we're doing on Thursday. We'll have a lot of great coverage for the Breeders' Cup as well. Stay tuned. Sean will make sure that you're up to speed with all of that. And I think one really good guest this upcoming week, if you're planning on betting the Breeders' Cup, is we have the Breeders' Cup announcer, right? What day is that?
Yeah, Kurt Becker on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we have jockey Kylie Jordan, who will be riding in her first Breeder Cup. She just started riding last year. It's been really good, winning at like 18%. And she's got the best story overall, even if you're a non-racing fan, the whole thing with Tyler's Tribe, how the horse got its name, what kind of underdog that horse will be, and it's undefeated. So,
and then what about Monday? We don't want to sell that person short.
We don't have anybody for Monday because it's Halloween.
Oh, that's right. Sean's got to go trick-or-treating. He's got to get his bag of candy.
I got to get my candy.
Yes, he does. All right, well, we'll see you Tuesday. We won't see you Monday because we're going to fatten up on a little bit of Hershey's, a little bit of Snickers, and then we'll be back on Tuesday for everything else. So until then, Sean, no matter what happens, football, college basketball's got to be starting pretty soon too. NBA, the World Series, last time I looked, Houston was winning. I don't know if they're still winning.
It was 5-5 when we started.
So the Phillies had come back on that. Everybody's got to be kind of rooting for Houston. I don't know if you saw the statistic, but it seems like every time the Phillies win, there's some kind of financial calamity afterwards. So in 2008, they won. We had like the housing crisis in, I think, in 2000. I don't know. If you look back, like the times the Phillies won, like the year afterwards, been horrible for the economy.
So the way the economy was going, we should have predicted that the Phillies were going to win the World Series as it was, right?
I mean, it was.
Man, you should have told me that stat.
Definitely a forecast for sure. Better than the weatherman. All right, Sean. Well, that wraps it up for week number 8 in the NFL. Of course, like I said, follow us on our social sites. But no matter what else you do, Sean, we hope that your day, your life, everything that you do ends up
in the end zone.
Absolutely. So much enthusiasm. Have a great weekend.
Boys.